Good evening, I am Glenn Rashipura.
And I am Micheline Nabatise.
Joining you on the very first day of 2024 to bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and so much more on Sunset News. In today's broadcast, we'll be highlighting the stories that made headlines in 2023. Good to have you on the show, Micheline.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Glenn.
Happy New Year to you. Well, getting into the stories that made headlines in 2023, starting off with the city of Windhoek will write off 100% of both the capital and interest on debts owed by pensioners that register with the municipality, provided they currently have or agree to prepaid water and electricity meters being installed at their homes. The debt write-off will also only cover debts and interest accrued until the 30th of November last year. Any debts after that date must be paid in full to qualify for the debt write-off. City spokesperson Lydia Amutenya confirmed this last year, saying the new debt write-off program as it relates to pensioners would not cover interest only. Now, this is similar to what Walvis Bay did in 2022 when the Municipal Council granted approval for the cancellation of outstanding interest amounts for improved residential properties and water debts for all pensioners who are registered in the municipal database for such purposes for all outstanding debts up to the end of February 2022. According to Richard Hoap, the Council Management Committee chairperson, in April it was decided that an estimated $54 million representing the outstanding interest on improved residential properties and around $6.7 million representing the outstanding pensioner debts as of the 28th of February last year be written off. Rather interesting and considerate from the city's part. What do you think of this gesture?
Yeah, I think it is really interesting, and there's a huge sigh of relief because I know pensioners can barely also make it with the allowance that they get monthly, So kudos to the municipality, kudos to the council members that sit together and fight for this every single day in their meetings. So it's a relief. Now I know my grandfather's
it's a great week for everybody, and especially considering the inflation that we have been experiencing as a country or as actually worldwide, and this is a great gesture on the city's part.
It definitely is. And sometimes it's not just the pensioners' fault. Sometimes, their families take them and people rent, the houses and they accumulate the debt, which is at the end of the day the pensioners' problem.
Yeah, and there's a lot of abuse happening to pensioners that I think society doesn't acknowledge. So kudos again to the city. All right, now moving on into our next story. In a rather interesting story, in May last year, a family of 13 at Ohongo village in Ohangwena region was left traumatized after they allegedly suffered at the hands of a ghost for a week. According to one of the family members, Francina Haufiku, who is 44, the children were playing under a tree when they were abruptly pelted with stones by an invisible entity. She said the children ran into the yard, but the ghost continued to throw items at them, including stones and beer bottles. When Namibian Sun visited the homestead, damage was visible on the doors and windows of their house and in the yard. Haufiku claimed the ghost spoke in a male voice to them multiple times, demanding money before it would stop attacking them. The ghost, she said, asked for $600 million and instructed them to place the money at the entrance of the kraal. Although the family obeyed the ghost instructions, she said, it still came back and asked for another $200 Namibian. Now, the following video is courtesy of Enso Amwele. Let's take a look. Now, this family in total gave $800 million to the ghost. Do you think it was a real supernatural event that happened here?
It was first of its kind, if I can put it that way. And it's just visible that the economies are tough. Even Costa asking for money now.
Exactly. That was my thought. The fact that it came back again and asked for $200 and then they still gave. But my honest opinion is I think this was just someone in the village who saw an opportunity. I don't know how they manipulated what they did, but I think they were playing mind games on them, and I think
They gave in.
Yes, this family fell victim to that. Getting into our next story in a little bit of sad news or disturbing news. A Lutheran pastor and former SWAPO councillor at the Ruacana Town Council, Reverend Hendrik Shudeni, was accused of deceiving a young man whom he allegedly promised a job within the Namibian police force in exchange for sex. This came out in May when his 24-year-old unemployed accuser said, although he is not gay, he agreed to have sex with Shudeni on 2 occasions out of desperation for a job. Evidence obtained by shows that Shudeni paid his accuser money on various occasions, totaling nearly $4,000 million in a desperate bid to buy the unemployed man's silence. Shudeni, a former chairperson of the Ruacana Town Council Management Committee, denied the allegations. This despite the existing evidence of text messages from his number to the accuser. Now, the Lutheran preacher admitted to knowing his accuser and sending him money, but said this was all in good faith and in exchange for nothing. The pastor was also at the time suspended from the church. An update is that the LCN Church has now relieved him of his duties. Quite a sad turn of events for this young man. What are your thoughts on this?
I think this is really sad, and the fact that people that are in the community, that are in the eye of the community, especially at a church, it's disturbing to see that some people that are in this position really takes their position to advantage and does something like this. This is really disturbing. Glenn.
Yeah, and they're exploiting their position, to do this to young people. And especially somebody who's desperate, they would do anything.
Of course, and him being a pastor, it contradicts his position and his role in the community. You don't do that as a pastor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, moving on to our next story, Chief Justice Peter Shivute delivered a judgment recognizing the foreign spouses of 2 Namibian citizens in same-sex marriages at Supreme Court in the capital in May 2023. This brought joy to the LGBTQ+ community in Namibia, such as Annette Seeler, who told a Namibia Media Holdings journalist shortly after the verdict that after 7 years of struggle, her wife could now call Namibia her home, adding that we have not only won for us, but for other lesbians and gays as well. Her partner, German citizen Anita Seeler-Lillis, struggled for years to obtain residency in Namibia, despite the fact that she married a Namibian citizen abroad. Their marriages were not previously recognized in Namibia because the state does not recognize same-sex marriages. The Namibia Economic Freedom Fighters was among those criticizing the judgment, saying a national referendum must be held to make a final decision on the matter. This ruling has forced upon us the duty to recognize marriages recognized by jurisdictions foreign to us, Deputy President Kalimbo Ipumbu said. Now, Home Affairs Minister Albert Kawana has told those aggrieved by his ministry's decision to implement the Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriages to go to court for recourse. Now, this video obviously was among the top stories that blew up in 2023, and there was a genuine mix of emotions as well. There was a side that agreed to it, that was happy, and then there's the other side that's like, no, we cannot have this in the country. What do you think of the developments of the story?
I think we all have rights, but there are also there's a law to be followed, and we need to take it one step at a time, and I leave it at that.
Yeah, I think so too, one step at a time. Now, after the break, we discuss the repo rate increase of 2023 to stay with Sunset News.
From the day you were born and welcomed until your pensioner years on this earth, Your life is filled with changes and phases. What mattered the most at age 10 may be an unknown memory at 25. The heartbreak at 16 may be replaced with wedding bells at 27. The degree you've always wanted or starting your career business may come true at age 30. And the dream to own your own home may come to realization at age 50. Whatever stage you find yourself in, whatever matters right now, Standard Bank has what you need to bank like you. Choose your own path. Choose endless possibilities. Standard Bank, it can be.
In our economic news, Namibia's repo rate has increased 3 times in 2023, closing with a prime lending rate of 11.50%. In February, the repo rate increased with 25 basis points from 6.75% to 7%, followed by another 25 basis points increase in February when it rose to 7.25%. In June, the repo rate rose to 7.75% and maintained in August, October, and in December. In the final monetary policy meeting of the year, the Bank of Namibia Governor Johannes Gravagab just announced the decision to keep the repo rate unchanged at 7.75%, and this means that the prime lending rates for local commercial banks will remain at 11.50%.
Namibian dollar and the South African rand, while supporting the domestic economy, the MPC decided to keep the rate unchanged at 7.75%. This decision was taken following a comprehensive review of domestic, regional, and global economic developments. Let us look at the domestic developments that influence this decision. Domestic economic activity expanded further during the first 10 months of 2023. Inflation edged up while private sector credit extension growth remained weak. The merchandise trade deficit continued to improve and the stock of international reserves remained sufficient to support the currency peg and meet the country's international financial obligations. Domestic economic activity expanded further during the first 10 months of 2023.
This was definitely a trending topic in 2023. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it was a good move, if I can put it that way, that it stayed stagnant. Yeah, stagnant, if I can put it that way, for 3 months, because really the economy is already tough, times are tough, and we really used to sit like this when we just see that post of Bank of Namibia to see if our repo rate will increase or not. So I think for the 3 months, it eased up the community a bit.
And people need that, like I said earlier, with the inflation and everything that I think as a nation and globally that we have been through, we do need some of these eases here and there.
Of course.
Now moving on, coups in Africa and the Gaza-Palestine war were among the biggest headlines in 2023. We delve into these stories after the break in our international news segment.
Enjoy the season's best prices all month long at Woermann Brock. 2-liter farmhouse ice cream for $44.99. 1-liter fruit tree juice for just $18.99. 2-liter Coca-Cola Original for just $19.99. 2-liter WB cooking oil for only $64.99. And 2 kg Sky hand wash powder for $39.99. See all our specials online at www.woermannbrock.com.
Getting into our international news segment, taking a look at our top stories in this segment. On July 26, 2023, the Presidential Guard in uranium-rich Niger overthrew democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum before the Gabon coup. A few weeks later, Niger's coup leader, General Abdourahamane Tchiani, in August proposed a 3-year transition of power after meeting a delegation of West African leaders and warned that any attack on the country would not be a walk in the park for those involved. In Gabon, on the night of August 30th, having just been declared the winner of the presidential election, Ali Bongo Ondimba was overthrown by almost all the general officers of the army and police force, led by General Brice Oligui Nguema. All the political parties, including Bongos and the vast majority of civil society organizations, immediately rallied behind General Nguema's government, praising it not as a coup d'etat, but as a liberation coup. Bongo was elected on the 14 years ago, following the death in 2009 of his father, Omar Bongo Ondimba, who had ruled this small, oil-rich Central African country for 41 years. In Burkina Faso, a coup attempt against military rulers has been thwarted by the country's intelligence and security services, authorities said in September 2023. Burkina Faso's military rulers said in a statement on Wednesday last year that army officers and others had planned to seize power and plunge the country into chaos. Officers and others alleged actors involved in this attempt at destabilization have been arrested and others are actively sought, a spokesman for the ruling military stated at the time. What are some of the reasons you think for these coups?
I think if a leader has to lead a country for so many years and you see that it's just running from one family member to the next, the country gets irritated because some things or some laws are unfair and they want change. They want to see young leaders take over or lead. And I think that's where the beginning of coups start from. Yes, because it's inequality, it's the economy, that there's so many issues that they see in a country. And then there's just one
ruling family that's benefiting from all the wealth in the country. So these unfair, practices can lead to things like this. I also agree on your thoughts on that. Now, getting into our next story, Israel's deadly bombardment of Gaza has killed nearly 15,000 people, including 10,000 women and children, in over 50 days, making it the deadliest war for the besieged Palestinian enclave till to date. Now, Israel has rebuffed calls for a ceasefire as a 4-day humanitarian truce came to an end on November 28. The devastation of Gaza and the mounting death toll has triggered worldwide protests, bringing the decades-long issue to the center stage of global politics. The war has flattened large parts of northern Gaza and driven most of the population to the southern part of the besieged territory, where many are in crowded shelters and tent camps. Some 1.9 million Palestinians, about 90% of Gaza's population, have fled their homes. Israel launched the assault on Gaza after Hamas fighters from the territory stormed into southern Israel on October 7th, killing about 1,200 people and taking about 240 others hostage, according to Israeli officials. Now, this war has brought a long conflict to light. Do you think there's an end to this anytime soon?
No, not at all. Not at how things are looking currently. It's a catastrophic situation to see that people flee from their homes, and it just keeps on happening. So I don't think there is going to be any peace anytime soon.
It's really sad to hear that, and it also does not look like it's going to end anytime soon. After the break, we'll be delving into your top stories in terms of sports. Let's take a look at the top sports stories in 2023. Sports Minister Agnes Shongarero in April 2023 wrote her Botswana counterpart to inform him of Namibia's decision to withdraw and terminate the memorandum of agreement between the two governments to jointly bid for the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. Amongst the many reasons provided, Shongarero said the $4.8 billion required to upgrade facilities was beyond their budget, and with the looming drought in Namibia, government was forced to reprioritize its resources. I was actually very excited for this.
I was too. We were going to bring in some money. Tourists were going to come in, but I think let's try again.
Yeah, reprioritize, as they said. Yeah, quite sad though. Moving on, rounds 10 and 11 of the Dep Marine Premiership, which were scheduled to take place in mid-November at the Sam Nujoma Stadium, according to fixtures from the Namibia Football Association, could not be hosted as planned after the city of Windhoek said there will be no matches at the stadium, domestic or international, or in the immediate future. The Sam Nujoma Stadium has structural shortcomings that, as per CAF directive, must first be resolved. The defects are deemed dangerous and must first be resolved, the city said. In addition, the city announced that the Commersdal Stadium is only available for the first division soccer leagues due to the capacity of the facility. The Commersdal Stadium cannot cater for crowds larger than 1,000 people, seeing that their popular Namibia Premier Football League's return is much anticipated by soccer enthusiasts in and around Windhoek. The NFA would need a venue that has a capacity for more than 1,000 spectators, a statement released by the city noted. These matches did not end up taking place, but this is a major setback for football in Namibia, don't you think?
It is, and this has been an oncoming story because Sam Nujoma is one of our stadiums that usually hosts top-tier games, if I can put it that way. So I think this year we really need to put all hands on deck and fix those defects so that we can also be back on track. Because I mean, where else can we play football if not this other smaller stadiums? Where else other than Sam Nujoma?
No, we need to actually, I think, invest in our sports infrastructures because most people or most soccer players or what have you not are complaining that they don't get time or enough time on the field, to practice their skill set. It's fine to practice whatever, but when you're having matches, that's when you're growing the skill set and you're growing as a team and so forth, and you're growing the sport as well. So yeah, all hands on deck this
and
year.
I think it's also a ripple effect, because if players first of all is not comfortable in their sports fields or their sports grounds, these players partake in AFCON. AFCON is about to start, and if they don't have enough time on the field, it's a ripple effect. It's less training. It's training just because of training, and that's why we see the result sometimes is not on our side.
Yes, exactly. Now, in our next story, in some exciting news, this year we will be backing the Eagles, who will be participating in the T20 World Cup. Namibia have claimed their spot in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 in the West Indies and the USA after an impeccable performance at the ICC Men's T20 World Cup Africa qualifier in Windhoek. Their commanding 58-run victory over Tanzania on day 7 of the event solidified their remarkable qualification as they became the first team to secure the 2 spots available from the qualifier event. The Eagles are now set to progress to their 3rd consecutive Men's T20 World Cup. Their previous appearances include the 2021 and the 2022 events co-hosted by the UAE and Oman and Australia. Wow. This is good news. This is a great way to, end 2023 and start the year 2024. I mean, we qualified again and hopefully, we come home with some medals.
Of course, I think Namibia is really improving at a fast pace, just not with cricket, but in all other sports goes. And I think 2024 is a year for making great strides.
Yes, I hope so too. Well, we'll be right back after this.
We've always had the bravery to stand up for what is Namibian, from protecting our homes to fighting injustices. We still celebrate what it means to us and raise a glass to those who show their bravery.
matter how they take on the world. With all this potential in the land of the brave, what will you do to make this Namibia your Namibia?
Getting into our entertainment story, Miss Nicaragua Shanice Palaquez was crowned Miss Universe 2023 during the competition which took place in El Salvador. She won the crown and the title, but Jamila Uiras won the hearts of fellow Namibians after she made it to the top 20 of the competition. She is the first Namibian in 20 years to occupy a top 20 spot in Namibia's participation history. Miss Namibia 2023 Jamila Uiras was also awarded prizes which included a cash prize of $170,000 Namibian, a monthly allowance of $2,500 Namibian, and a $250,000 Namibian Toyota Starlet car, along with several non-cash items from different sponsors. She will retain ownership of the car after her reign. Now, she definitely is my favorite Miss Namibia, and I'm so happy that she did so well on the international stage. Now, thank you for joining us on the very first Sunset News for the year. That is it from me, Glenora Shipura.
And Michelina Vatises.
But here are a few well wishes for the year. From us, it's Tata, but do not go away as we have some good well wishes videos for you after this.
Hello, my name is Charles Moore. I'm the British High Commissioner to Namibia since January 2021. And so January 2024 marks the end of my third year in this fabulous country. And New Year's a time to look ahead at what's coming up in the next 12 months. Of course, in Namibia, 2024 is election year, and it's a privilege to be working in Namibia in one of Africa's most democratic and stable and peaceful countries, to witness this democracy in action. And I think this is an opportunity for all Namibians to exercise their right to vote, which is so important and not to be taken for granted. And we have that same ethos in the UK as well. Democracy and freedoms are hard fought and hard won, but please do exercise the democratic right to vote. And I think Namibia also has a hugely bright future with oil, with green hydrogen. There's a lot of energy going into those industries. And I look forward to a busy year where Namibia can show itself more on the world stage for all the opportunities that it has, and also to address some of the challenges it has. And as the British High Commission, we want to help address those challenges. For example, in healthcare, where we're very keen to help build 3 more hospitals in Namibia, and to do projects to address issues like food insecurity, GBV, and all those sort of social issues where we can make a small difference. So I think it's an exciting time to be in Namibia. It's a good time looking ahead over the next 3 to 4 years, where I think Namibia could be a very different and much better place in terms of its economic status. And I look forward to being a part of that. And so as we enter 2024, I want to wish you all the very best for the coming year. And I look forward to sharing that with you. Thank you.
My birthday is on the 31st of December, so I have plenty of reason to be happy entering the new year. But one of the reasons I'm really particularly happy is that I can spend it with my family. So,
from me, Bradley, Mary, Ashwin's older brother. From me, Wallace, Mary, Ashwin, and Bradley's father.
we wish you a happy new year.